Welcome to the Dr. Dare Show. My name is Dr. Frederick Dare, and I am a therapist here in Atlanta, Georgia. And before we get started, I would like you to subscribe to my channel, like, share, and don't forget to click the little bell at the bottom because it will let you know when I am submitting new content. I hope everybody's doing great today. We made it through Thanksgiving holiday. And that brings me to my topic. My topic is if my family member did it, then I can do it too. Suicide. And the reason I brought this up, I was going through the news articles today, and I was reading about George Atkins III, who is the ex-Notre Dame RB, died at age 27 following the death of his brother a year ago. And his brother Josh committed suicide a year ago, and they were twins. And so that made me start thinking of the training I received as a therapist. Is that one of our assessment questions was, if have you ever had anybody in your family commit suicide? And the reason we ask this question is because 9 times out of 10, what's happened in the past is that if someone had a family member that committed suicide, that family member could potentially commit suicide as well, because they see that as a solution to a problem, whereas someone who doesn't have that in their family doesn't see it as a solution. So I wanted to address that because George Atkins, and I have to state this, they didn't say how he died, but they did provide the National Suicide Prevention contact information below the article. And so it talked about how George, after his brother died, went into this dark place. He was like, the only reason that he was hanging on is because of his 2-year-old daughter. But then a year later, he's found dead, and the article was just published today. And it made me think of that assessment question, and so I wanted you to become aware of this situation. Like, if someone committed suicide in your family and you're starting to see another family member, and I'll give you some tips on how to kind of notice suicidal ideation, is what we call it. And all suicidal ideation is just the thought of committing suicide. We'll see tips on how to recognize if a person is really, suicidal. But I did want to inform you of this tip. And so for right now, I'm going to give you those tips. So, signs to look for. First, excessive sadness or moodiness. The person's just had this change and they're really sad, and their mood is what we would call low affect. It's just kind of, a depressive mood. And then the next one is hopelessness, sleep problems, sudden calmness, like everything's okay now. A withdrawal from like everyone and all the activities they encounter that they used to like and love. They kind of pull back. Changes in appearance and personality. And so that's what, as a therapist, that's what I look for. If you come in my office, I'm looking for, are your clothes disheveled? Are you, but the week before you were suit and tie, haircut, just very well put together, but now your appearance has changed. And what I look for is congruency. Like, if you're talking about something sad, but then you're laughing at the same time, I'm looking at those behaviors. Dangerous or self-harmful behavior. Recent trauma or life crisis. Like in George Atkins' case, his trauma was that his brother committed suicide. And like he said it himself, I'm just barely hanging on. This suicide of my brother took me to a dark place. And that happens. And that can happen too when we say trauma, it's such a broad term, but trauma is if you lost somebody, if you were abused as a child, if you, whatever is traumatic that makes you, that you didn't get over and you didn't process it, it can come back in different forms, in different ways, and create problems for you. So, and then, signs to still look for. Making preparations, like you're saying you go into family houses and you're visiting them, you're giving your stuff away, you're tying up kind of loose ends, and then threatening suicide. They say 50 to 75% of people who commit suicide actually tell someone. You know, they give you a warning. And the way we learned in school is that if someone, has a plan, they write it down, they can tell you step by step how they're going to do it, they may be getting ready to commit suicide. But if they're just saying, oh, I'm going to commit suicide, and there's no plan, and it may be for attention. But either way, these are the tips, and I'm going to go over them really fast again. Excessive sadness or moodiness, hopelessness, sleep problems, sudden calmness, withdrawal, changes in appearance and personality, dangerous or self-harmful behaviors, recent trauma or life crisis. They're making preparations, or they're threatening suicide. So that's just some of the things. If you notice something strange in someone, just make sure that you ask them, and if you ask them, seek help. Now, here's the national prevention number. It's 1-800 National Suicide Prevention number. It's 1-800-273-8255. And I will say that again. It's 1-800-273-8255. And during the holidays that's when a lot of people get depressed, especially if you lost loved ones, and it's just things are not the same. And trust and believe, we've all lost loved ones, so we all can get into those moods. And it's ironic that George Atkins, did this on 12/3. We just had a holiday, and Thanksgiving holiday just passed, and we're coming up on Christmas. And so I say that is to keep an eye on your family members during this time, because it's difficult. If you've lost loved ones, or you could be going through anything, transition to school, and you're a college student, you lost your job, you're homeless, you lost your best friend, you're losing a lot of friends, anything that triggers something negative or depressive for you. We're all different, so we're all experiencing things differently. But I just wanted you to become aware that, if you are in a family and there has been individuals in your family that's committed suicide, make sure you look out for that person who has some of those symptoms that I named. So thank you again for watching the Dr. Dare Show. Don't forget to subscribe. Please subscribe. And that means just subscribe the button. If you don't have a YouTube account, create a little YouTube account. It takes no time. And then subscribe so you can get my videos and get just information to help you in the mental health field, or help hot topics that are taking place. I go back and forth between the two, and I usually put out videos on Tuesdays and Thursdays. I was doing 3 a week. It just depends on what comes to me. I like to follow what I'm feeling, and today it was this when I saw this. So thank you. I don't want to keep rambling on. Have a good day. Thank you for watching Dr. Dare.